Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, January 16th, 2025. The time is now 7 o'clock p.m., and we will call this regularly scheduled council meeting to order. Our invocation this evening is going to be led by Dr. Craig Smee with Light Christian Center. Our pledge for the American flag will be led by Councilman Castro, and the Texas pledge by Councilman Garavay.
Good evening, everybody. It is a great pleasure and honor to be able to stand before you tonight. If I sound differently, that's because I come from the deep south, South Africa. I was going to say Waco, but that might be a bit strange. I thought I would very briefly, if you would allow me, read a short scripture from Romans chapter 12. It says, "In His grace, God has given us many different gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you're a teacher, teach them well. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously and do it with diligence. And if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly." When referring to the word diligence when it comes to our leadership, two words come from the Greek which refer to being consistent with high moral value and being intentional to show care for others. And so as we open this meeting tonight, I pray that not only tonight, but the entire year of this council chamber is governed by intentional leadership, intentional to show care for others and diligence in the forming of high moral character. Here's why. According to Proverbs, it tells us in Proverbs, it said in 21 verse 5, it says, "The plans of those who lead diligently will become reality." So I pray that your diligence leads to the blessings, that the plans that you put in place here will impact the community well, and that this council is one that is known for leading well and diligently. Let's pray. Father, we thank you that as we come together in this chamber, that we are intentional about the care of others as you have been intentional about the care of us. We pray this year is a year of diligence, intentional high values, and the care of others in our city, in this chamber, and the leaders amongst us that will lead us towards this. As we recognize those who have led well, we authorize and appoint those who will lead further. In this meeting, we thank you, Father, for the gift of leadership, the gift of caring for others, and the gift of mercy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, next we're going to move into recognition of the Alvin Police Department 2024 award recipients. Excuse me. Officer Alexa Gonzalez. Alexa, Civilian of the Year. Alexa consistently picks up extra shifts, night or day, when staffing is short. Alexa always there to fill in the gap where needed, even when it led to her working without days off. She also volunteers with the city and PD community events, such as helping Tour de Bras and the Trick or Treat Trail for Halloween. She was recently promoted to dispatch lead for the same reasons. She's very dependable and dedicated to the department and her coworkers. So with that, we are pleased to provide her with the Civilian of the Year Award. Civilian Employee of the Year Award, I'm sorry. Congratulations. 10-minute speech? Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for all you do. Okay, our next award recipient happens to be absent, but still worth giving Officer John Flores a shout out for Officer of the Year. Officer Flores, thank you, Dixie, is a team player who steps up to do what is needed without hesitation. Recently promoted to corporal, an active FTO, and obtained his hostage negotiator certification. He is a member of the CART as a negotiator, always has a can-do and positive attitude. No matter what is asked, he immediately gets on the task until it's completed. So this is Officer of the Year, John Flores. Let's give him a round of applause. Okay, the next one, Rookie of the Year, Ty Lufau. Ty is always willing to help out no matter what is asked of him. His shift mates state that he steps up for calls for service when they are busy while he was taking his own calls for service. He has a positive attitude and loves his new profession. He recently tried out for the SWAT team and passed all the tests. He is the newest operator to the team and just recently passed basic SWAT school. Ty exemplifies what a new officer should be and will do nothing but great things with Alvin PD. Help me congratulate Ty Lufau, Officer Rookie of the Year.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Take a few.
Congratulations. Our next award is the Life Saving Award. Goes to Corporal Jason Clear. On December 1st, 2003, this was after the awards for 2003 had been given. So an EMS call was dispatched involving a resident who had accidentally stabbed himself with a knife in the arm while working in his garage. Corporal Clear responded to the scene and found the resident to be bleeding profusely from the wound with a large amount of blood on the ground. As the resident began to lose consciousness from blood loss, Corporal Clear applied a tourniquet, thereby stopping the blood loss until EMS could arrive to treat and transport the victim. Corporal Clear's appropriate and proper and quick application of the tourniquet was instrumental in preventing the victim's blood loss from becoming fatal. So help me in congratulating Corporal Jason Clear with the Life Saving Award. Congratulations.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Take a few more. So cute.
Again. Outstanding, outstanding. Another life-saving award goes to a duo of officers. Officer Ty Lufau and Officer Nolan Ramsey. June of 2000. Go ahead. On June of 2024, officers Lufau and Ramsey were dispatched to a reporting shooting. While en route, officers were advised that it was possible an accidental shooting where the victim had shot themselves in the leg while cleaning a weapon. Upon arrival, officers were unable to make contact with anyone. After repeated attempts to make contact, what heard to sound like a faint groan from the apartment, officers forced the door open and found the victim face down on the floor, alive but unconscious in a pool of blood. Officers quickly found the wound, and Officer Lufau was able to apply a tourniquet, stop the bleeding until EMS could arrive. Without the officer's determination in responding to this call, the victim surely would have died from blood loss. So, good job, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Okay, now we've got another life-saving award. This is to Officer Matthew Fuller. June 2024, Officer Fuller was on patrol on Highway 6 when he observed a vehicle on fire in a private driveway. Officer Fuller notified dispatch, then ran to the vehicle to ensure that there were no occupants. Officer Fuller found that a highly intoxicated individual was in the vehicle, struggling to exit due to their state. Officer Fuller was able to extract the person from the vehicle and move them away from the fire just seconds before the vehicle became fully engulfed. The intoxicated person was later treated for smoke inhalation, and without Officer Fuller's quick and decisive action, this person would have, due to their intoxication, undoubtedly died in the vehicle fire. So, congratulations to you. Tremendous work. Thank you. Very good. Congratulations. Thank you. Man. Outstanding. Outstanding. Can we please put our hands together one more time? Tremendous. We really do have an incredible police department, and we are very fortunate to have such quick thinkers. And that's just, they demonstrated complete bravery, putting their own lives on the line. A couple of them, and just that's just incredible. That's what these men and women are called to do. They're our guardians, and we appreciate them. So thank you all. Next, we're going to have a APD mental health program update. Chief, is that going to be you? She out there? There she is. Hey, all right. Voluntold? Is that what you said? Okay. Good evening.
Hello. How are you guys doing? All right. I hate this so much. Y'all know me already. I'm Jenny Humbird, and this back here is Crystal White. Raise your hand. She is working with us now. She's our qualified mental health professional that works with CHN. All right. That is tiny, so I'm going to read it off of here. So approximately 2 years ago, we formed a partnership with my CHN, which is Community Health Network, and I got put in the detective role as the mental health detective. At that time, we weren't really sure what that was going to look like, but we began planning on how to build the partnership to best help the community. The most important part of this partnership was with my CHN, with the qualified mental health professional that was part our employee and part their employee. So we pay half the salary as the city, and CHN pays half. And so with the dual employment, they're able to refer patients to any service and not just Community Health Network services. They use Gulf Coast and private places and everything. It took several months to find the right person for the job, and the background and training after that process took several months. So it took us a long time to find the person that was best suited for the job. And once we got her, she created a mental health referral form in the beginning of September, and that's how we've been getting her information about the people that we come into contact with. And in October, the form became automated and was introduced to patrol. The number of referrals has increased every month since being pushed out to patrol. We are continuing to learn and change as the program goes because it's an ongoing process because we're starting from scratch. A little bit about how the program works is dispatch receives a call for service and they send an officer out. Sometimes at that point we know if it's mental health related, and sometimes we don't. It just really depends on what the call that comes in is. Patrol responds to the scene, they handle the call themselves, and after the call is completed, the officer completes the mental health referral form. And after they fill out that form, they give me a little bit about what happened, why they believe it's mental health related. They email it to me. And then I kind of research that person's history and give a little bit about how many times we've been out on them. Did we see them 5 times today? Have we seen them 10 times in the past 2 weeks? And send that information over to Crystal. Crystal then contacts them, starts the process of contacting them. She calls them several times to try to get a hold of them to offer services. She completes the assessment with them to see what kind of services that they need, and then goes from there. She helps them make appointments and helps them with financial aid if they need it, because a lot of times people don't have insurance and they have grants and stuff to help pay for it. Her assistance reduces the involvement by the police in non-police matters. That kind of keeps us out of things that aren't really our business. CHN also provides whole person care. So once they're a patient with CHN, they have access to medical care, dental care, mental health care. They even have a pharmacy. They set them up with everything. All right, on September 1st is when we really got rolling. September 1st through December 31st, there were 62 referrals completed. There were only 8 repeat referrals. So once we're getting them in there, we're getting them services, or they stop calling us. I'm not really sure which way they go. They just don't want to be bothered by us anymore. Out of the 62 referrals, she was able to make contact with about 65% of the people. 100%, this is huge, 100% of the eligible officers through Alvin Police Department are now mental health certified. That means through TCOL, they are certified. Mental health officers have certificates and everything. So they've been trained on how to deal with mental health subjects. And with that being said, that has significantly reduced the need to use Brazoria County mental health deputies. So we're not overextending their people as much anymore because we're able to handle it by ourselves. The telehealth system that we have in place through Gulf Coast Center is amazing. It provides immediate access to a clinician. I used it today, for instance. I call the crisis line. They say, okay, this is what you need. Give me a second. Somebody calls me. They text me a link. I click the link, and that has me a mental health professional on my phone right there, able to speak with the person that's having the crisis. And our relationship with the Gulf Coast Center continues to grow. It's getting better. We've been able to use them for the crisis line for several different things. They come to our jail now if we have a problem. They've came to scenes, to locations. It's been really good, a lot great. So, what we're planning to do in the future is train dispatch in transferring some of the non-emergency mental health calls to the crisis line. Instead of sending an officer, they're going to get a mental health professional from the beginning. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but we're going to work through that. We're going to continue to grow our program with CHN and the Gulf Coast Center. Foster relationships between stakeholders, assist in transport to hospitals when officers are busy with other calls. That is what I hope to do as soon as I get a card that is equipped for transport. And continue to work with the courts for jail diversion for offenders. Any questions?
First of all, thank you for this. Great. When you said hotline, what exactly do you mean by a crisis line?
It's a 1-800 number that you can call. Anybody can call it from anywhere in the state, I believe. And they get a person on the phone who takes their information and connects them to somebody that can help them.
And like, where can someone find this?
I have little green cards that we hand out, and it has a bunch of different, I should have brought them, a bunch of different numbers on there. We even have a number that you can text.
Okay, awesome.
If you're having a problem, you can text it if you don't feel like talking to somebody, and they'll text you back.
Okay, great. And then this isn't really a question, but maybe something to put on your radar. You may know this already, may not, but Senator Joan Huffman, she's one of our senators that represents Brazoria County. She just filed a bill to put the first mental health hospital in Brazoria County. So I'm sure she would love to hear some support from Alvin's Finest. So if you reach out to her office, and if you don't have their cell number, I can give that to you. But that'd be really good to see y'all partner up with that.
Awesome. I would love to do that.
to improve?
I think we're doing pretty good right now. I think we're on track to grow our program, to make it better and bigger. We're figuring it out as we go. I think that's been a learning curve in the last year, that we're finally getting over that hump to where we can actually grow the program once, because we have a foundation established and we have kind of a way to start and a direction to go in. So hopefully it'll get better from here. I can't think of anything.
The last time I gave a presentation or update on it, I mentioned that this is a unique program, not only in Missouri County, but in the state. We are partnered with what actually is a for-profit business. Half and half. It's the reason we do the 50-50, so we don't have to depend only on their services. And as such, as it grows, we're having to, or we're trying to pull in other resources to partner with as well. Gulf Coast Center, whoever. And that takes a lot of intertwining policies and tries to work them into something that we can all work with. Because each one has either separate mandates or separate operating rules. The ability to share or not share data may require us to do some type of MOU with them between my CHN, and it just goes deeper and deeper. So I had this discussion at our last meeting with Community Health Center, and the fact is we're happy with where the program is now. We see that it is growing. Like Detective Umber said, we have had more and more referrals each month since this has occurred. Crystal is doing a really good job digging her heels in and doing what we've asked of her to help assist our citizens. In the future, I can see this probably growing to another Crystal or two and another Detective Umbert or two. But it's going to take time, like everything else, because we have to work through what resources we have, what resources we don't have, what we need. And it's like anything else when the government tries to do anything, is trying to get other entities to share information. For a while we were having a problem with Crystal even being able to find out. She'd contact somebody, they'd say, well, I'm already getting help from so-and-so. Crystal will contact so-and-so, and they, well, I can't talk about that. Well, that's what we run into. So then we have to go and work and develop an MOU or whatever, or remind them that they had one to begin with already to get it going. So your question was, what can we do to make it better? We're working on it. We're doing it. We are doing what we can with what we've got. At this point, adding more people to it would be detrimental, because you wouldn't have enough work for all of them. Right now, the biggest thing that the city could do is spread the word to the other caregivers that we're probably going to come for you to get you to work with us. And recruit you. That's it. I'm going to stick Jenny on you.
Thank
I
you.
don't mind bothering people. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Great job. Next, we have our engineering annual departmental presentation. Good evening, Michelle.
How are y'all? This presentation will basically cover calendar year 2024, since I was here in January last year to do the presentation. A little bit about the engineering department's roles. We're basically the quality control division of the city. We take ordinances and codes that council passes along with typical engineering practice and apply them to both new development that developers are doing, new commercial projects, new residential projects, and the city's infrastructure replacement projects. We're housed out at the 1100 West Highway 6, the Public Services Facility. We include planning and development, inspections and permitting, engineering, the GIS system, and the health department. As far as capital improvements, we completed construction on Waterline Improvements Phase 3, as well as the 1-million-gallon water storage tank replacement, and that was out at Water Plant Number 4 at the corner of Durant and Lang. And then we also completed the replacement of Westfield Perry and a portion of Adams Street, and that was the 2021 concrete pavement and drainage project. Total construction cost of those 3 projects was $10 million. And there's a shot of the water plant 4, the new tank, which replaced the 2 previous bolted steel tanks that we had out there. A little bit about current projects that are under construction. We're working on water line improvements phase 4. It's about 18,000 feet of new line that's going in to replace small diameter line in the area of Blum, Johnson, South, and Callaway, kind of bounded in that area. As well as we're replacing 1,600 feet of 8-inch line along the bypass between Fairway and Jepson. And that, the Fairway project, that was a grant-funded project through CDBG. Total construction cost of those, $2.8 million. Some projects that we are going to be taking to bid soon. One of a very large project is our wastewater treatment plant expansion, which will come to you next month as far as looking for a bid award of the construction contract for the final or the main construction. That will be estimated to be a 3-year project to complete. We're also looking at bidding Lift Station 23, that's at Steel Road in the bypass. It's a long time coming project. We've been in design, we had to do property acquisitions. Also dealt a lot with TxDOT on getting permits. Since we have the Grand Parkway, we have that team of engineers working on that project, so it had to clear more levels of TxDOT than normally it would to make sure our project as well as theirs coordinates. And then we'll also be working on or bringing to bid Moeller Road Phase 2 to complete that second phase of that project. There's the wastewater treatment plant expansion project. Everything in orange is going to be the new portion of the plant that we're adding. And then here is the Lift Station 23 site. That's the existing site you see in the picture. The new lift station will be built just to the left of that current site. Infrastructure projects that are in design. We're currently working on Victory Lane. That'll be a replacement from FM 528 to Clifford. If you're familiar with Clifford, where it meets Victory, it's right there to the bridge. So we'll be replacing that. And then also we'll be bidding as an alternate the section of Victory that's between Gordon Street and the bypass. So hopefully we'll be able to fund that portion as well. Also working on Hood Street, total replacement of Hood Street between Sealy Street and South. So we hope to be bringing that to bid possibly in the summer. Still working through a few things on it. And then Lift Station 33 rehabilitation. Lift Station 33 is kind of across from Kendall Lakes, just north of the Sun Meadow Manufactured Home Park. So that project is almost complete through design. That's Lift Station 33. You kind of see it around the trees there. As far as on the development side, we had 68 pre-development meetings. I approved 12 site plans for commercial development, 27 plats. We issued 13 permits for new commercial with a value of $10.3 million. Also issued 278 permits for new residential homes, value of $94.3 million. We did 17,911 building inspections, 2,586 total permits issued with a value of $111.7 million. And then our total permit revenue was almost $2 million this year. Some of the new commercial, the new boot barn located, I call it the office, used to be the Office Depot shopping center. That one was complete. McAllister's Deli in the location where Joe's Banquet Center used to be. They rehabbed that building. The new McDonald's on East Highway 6, kind of just past Chick-fil-A. And then, of course, new residential, Laurel Landing, that's on North Gordon. Just completed that, and they're working on the 2 model homes, as you can see in the picture. Watermark Section 3, that's their third and final section along the bypass near House Street. And then Imperial Forest Section 3, which is Wheeler and the bypass. Our health inspections, some of the numbers for our health inspector, 1,891 manufactured homes were inspected, 522 health permits were issued, and 522 health inspections were performed. Any questions?
Almost 18,000 inspections. How many inspectors do we have?
I have 3 building inspectors, a building official that does some of the inspections, plans examiner does some inspections, and then we have 2 construction inspectors that do the bulk of the infrastructure inspections, and a construction superintendent that works with them as well.
So about 8 people can inspect.
Yes, sir.
Still a huge load.
Yes, and with Preservation Creek, that big project, 288 and 1462, we are going to need some help.
Do you need more inspectors?
Yes, sir.
Something that you can outsource?
We can. We have talked to a couple of different companies, kind of gearing with that thought process, kind of looking to that. Pricey, but also, I guess another thing is control a little bit over them. Yes, they can inspect. We call them, we give them the 24 hours notice that they need. They come out, they put the inspections in. But it's just something about having your own inspectors in-house. I think we could probably stand at least 2 more full-time inspectors, and then, you know, the rest could be contracted out if there's still overload from that. I don't want to over-gear up, you know, for growth, but I also want to be prepared. So,
The bid was going out for the Hood Street
I'm hoping this summer.
summer.
Yes, we're still doing, we're in final design. There's also, they're looking into assessment of the utilities that currently run under Hood Street. We're gonna have to do some storm replacement, a little bigger project than we had expected. Usually it's just a street replacement and maybe some utility work, but it looks like it's gonna be more utility work. So that's what we're kinda nailing down right now to see what all utility-wise we'll need to do before we put the street back.
Michelle, a little bit of
Yes,
a
sir.
fun question, but I see some people from the college here. I'm sure they'll be interested to know. Are there any new commercial developments coming in that you can share? That a college student would be interested in.
Chipotle.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Chipotle. That's the only one I can think
That's
of
all
right
we need.
now. Okay.
And
good.
Canes, but Chipotle's good for now.
Chipotle.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Michelle,
Thank you.
can you do,
Sure.
what's going on at that El Paso building that they're doing some kind of build on? I know they shut down, but is that something different, or is that part of El Paso?
We don't know. Building official went out there we knew that El Paso had closed down to see if he could find out anything. They're in there painting. I think they're just prepping for somebody new to come in. They claim to not know who the new entity is, but we're keeping an eye on it, and I know our economic development director's keeping an eye on it too, but I don't know anything as of yet.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Looked like Murdoch's was open. Is it?
Soon, very
Oh, yeah,
soon.
okay.
I want to
Drove by the
say
other day, there was
February.
quite a few cars in the parking lot, and I wondered if it was just
Right.
stocking shelves or not. Cool.
Yeah, I think they're getting really close.
Good, thank you,
You're welcome.
thank you. I hope there's no more questions, because Michelle is out the door. Okay. Okay. I don't believe we have any public comment for this evening. So next, we will move into our consent agenda, starting with Councilman Garvey. Anything that you would like to remove?
No, sir.
Item E.
I'm sorry?
E.
E? Echo? Councilman Vaughn?
No, sir. No, Mayor.
No, sir.
Nothing.
Okay. Then I will,
Move to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item E.
Second.
please vote.
Motion passes unanimously. Items approved on the consent agenda are the December 19th City Council meeting minutes. Item B, Resolution 25R01 by the City Council of the City of Alvin, Texas, approving the appointment of directors of positions number 1 through 8 to the Board of Directors of Reinvestment Zone Number 1, City of Alvin, Texas, and setting forth other provisions related thereto. Item C, Resolution 25R02, authorizing appointments to the Board of Directors of Reinvestment Zone Number 2, City of Alvin, Texas, and the Kendall Lakes TERS Redevelopment Authority Board for a 2-year term, reappointing reappointing members to positions number 2, 5, 8, reappointing the chair and appointing members to fill vacancies to positions number 4 and 6 through December 31st, 2026, and setting forth other provisions related thereto. Item D, approval of ordinance 25A, amending ordinance 23V, passed and approved September 7, 2023. Same being an ordinance approving and adopting the City of Alvin's budget for fiscal year 23-24 by approving a budget amendment to the original 2023-24 fiscal year budget for the purpose of amending the year-end budget and providing for supplemental appropriation and/or transfer of funds as set forth in the attached Exhibit A, providing for severability and providing for other matters related thereto. Item F, acknowledge receipt of the FY25 quarterly investment report ending December 31st, 2024. Mayor?
Thank you, Dixie. So moving item E to the first other business on our agenda, consider ordinance 25C amending chapter 35 corridor land use regulations of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending Article 3, property and land standards, providing for penalties, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto. Councilman Vela, you pulled this item?
Yes. So I do understand this House bill that was proposed under the 86th legislative session. Of course, that was a while back in 2019 that particular House bill was passed as well as codified in Chapter 3000. So on a corridor land use, and since we don't have zoning, and a lot of cities across the state of Texas have put in this place basically to improve quality and also protect businesses that were already established and stuff. And one of the things that I look at here in the city of Alvin is we have a number of businesses that do the right thing, follow the ordinances, take care of their property, promote themselves in what I would say in a very professional and good-looking landscaping, as well as taking care of their buildings, and just overall promoting their property and stuff. So it kind of, on one point is it kind of concerns me, but I understand Representative Pham's proposal of this House bill. But I guess my question to our city engineer is, what prompted this for us to actually change it? Because I understand we can't enforce it, but why change it in our ordinance? But then is this prompting, did somebody come to us and is wanting to do something that doesn't want to follow what our current ordinance is?
Well, when that House bill first came out, I know staff had met and discussed it about, okay, what are they really saying? Because our ordinance did have the 80% brick, stone, or masonry facade. So when we first discussed it, we thought, or looked at it, and we thought percentage, we're not telling you can't use a material at all. We're just limiting the amount of the material you could use. So then we had proceeded, hadn't really got any pushback or concern or mention of this House bill with regards to the facade, because like you say, people building on the corridor, they want to have the buildings look nice and appeal to motorists traveling down our corridors. We did have a current property owner that's doing a project currently, went through all of our permitting, complied with the plan review comment that to provide the 80%, showed it on the plans, and then got to the time to actually put on the facade, and then there was pushback, and this was brought to us, which then we got into discussions with city attorney, city manager, looking harder at, well, can we really regulate with regards to percentage of something? And then ever since that House bill come out, of course, there's been more communities asking questions, more, I guess, legal opinions come out, and it's come out that you can't, even percentages, you can't limit them. So that's why we're coming to.
It's quite a bit of a lot of reading when you look at the Attorney General's opinion, and then also stuff that's published by TML. It's some good stuff, and there's actually some really good arguments. I would question, or I would basically just say as counsel to you all, just be very cautious as to the fact that if they're approving, and you know this as an engineer, is if plans are approved with a certain type of product meeting a certain wind load requirement and all the stuff that we have to meet as far as our insurance requirements, and then they come in and propose something different. And I know that that was a argument back 20 years ago. Instead of using concrete, brick, or masonry type product, would hardy board be of the same strength and to meet that wind load requirement because of where we're at in close proximity to the Gulf Coast, and then also as well as metal. We just had a tornado. We went through Hurricane Beryl, and there's a lot of tin, aluminum, and metal scattered out all over this county, and so those are things that I look at as policymakers as to, you know, hey, is that correct? You know, and so the other part is reading through the TML's information as well as the Attorney General's opinion on things. Is that since we don't have zoning, and this came out a little bit in our workshop, and I thought it was kind of wild that it was actually mentioned. Since we don't have zoning, we can actually enforce deed restrictions. Or actually, there's a specific point where if we had land use ordinances that were worded in a way and not really just with the facade. So if we set up districts or something. So I would like that to be just like looked at a little bit, just to basically protect, again, what our current businesses are in the city versus, hey, we don't want junk. I'm just flat out just say we don't want junk in one area, and we got another business right next to it that's doing a really good job. I'm not gonna go to a business, and that's just me, my personal preference and stuff. I'm not gonna go to a junkyard and go buy a Happy Meal at a place that's gonna be like run down, torn down, and got a junk vehicle in the front and stuff. But I know we're talking about facade, and we're talking about the appeal and the look and the feel. But if we're working on certain things, I don't want to take a step backwards. And I know that y'all are probably going to look at that and just understand that. But I just wanted to get that out there and put that opinion out there, Mayor. And okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor, move to approve ordinance 25C, amending Chapter 35, Corridor Land Use Regulations of Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin for the purpose of amending Article 3, Property and Land Standards, providing for penalties, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes with Councilmember Vella and Vaughn voting no.
Thank you, Michelle. Moving on, next item, consider an agreement with Kimley Horn for professional services for downtown pedestrian lighting analysis in the amount not to exceed $31,400 and authorize the city manager to sign related documents upon legal review.
All right.
Hello, Dan.
Hi, Mayor, Council. So we're asking you tonight to approve an agreement with Kimley Horn. We looked at an area downtown, and we thought it would be nice to take a look to see if we can make it more pedestrian friendly and light it up, especially in this time of year where it's gets dark early, and hopefully bring some pedestrian traffic downtown. So that's where we are. Some of the three areas are Taylor to Depot Center or Disney, and then that's Sealy, and then Sidnor Street from Taylor to Magnolia, and then Gordon Street from Sealy to Blum, in those particular areas. We want to see if it's viable. We want Kimley Horn to take a look at that for us. We're asking you to approve that tonight.
My question is, why do we need to spend $31,000 to go out and see where we need light?
Great question. So we want to see, number one, if we've got utilities that we can pull from, or what needs to happen, or if it's even viable to do that. We're also looking at maybe there's a solar option. We're also concerned about beam spread and being able to carry that light throughout sidewalk, for example. We're also concerned about ADA compliance and seeing where the placement of those poles in these areas. Some of these have, I think, 0 lot lines, and so it gets real tight. And so we want to just see if that's even an option. And if it is, then what needs to happen to make that to make it viable.
So they'll have a full comprehensive report, outlining those, where to put them, what the recommendations to put them, and what type of lighting to put them.
That's correct. That's correct, yes, sir.
Didn't we previously do this study?
We did. I know it was recommended in a few plans. I don't know if we did a feasibility study to this extent. there is lighting down Willis Street. I was not involved in that project, so I don't know if that was part of a larger scope, but that was put in, and then most recently we reworked the lighting at the downtown lot. That was not a part of a particular project or scope. That was something that we did to retro or to refit that parking lot itself.
That's a relatively small area right here that this study is going to address. Are we gonna need to expand?
We could. We looked at a couple of different plans and that focused on the downtown element, and so we felt like overreaching or going too far may not necessarily fit the scheme of that plan, and so we kept it relatively close to the downtown area itself.
Where's the existing lighting currently?
So right now is Willis Street, as I mentioned. There are some, I'll say the last of this style, globe style lighting, and that is in the area of the library, which is Sealy, and that goes down to and it ends at New Hope Church, which is that pathway that I mentioned earlier. So there's that. We have the downtown lot that we just reworked, and then other than that, I don't think. And of course, at National Oak Park, we have lighting within that, the trail system there. There's lighting in the parking lot nearest the depot at National Oak, more where the skate park is. And I think that about covers what we've done.
Sorry, follow up on this. Did you say there is lighting already from the library to New Hope? So that's an area that's in this purview. So we're studying an area that already has lights on Gordon Street?
Yes, sir.
Why? If they already have lights, why are we studying it?
The current lighting there is globe style lighting, and so so we want to replace it, and we also want to look to see if number one, if we can go on the other side of the street perhaps, and really just kind of beef up that lighting there. We're not sure what we can do with that.
So the intention would be to replace all of the existing globe lights. When did we put those up? Because I think I remember putting them up since I've been here.
So those were in place. I got hired in 2003. Those were in place at that time.
I'm all for lighting. Like, we need lighting. And like y'all just did the project up here at Sealy and Gordon, and it looks great up there. But when you drive through at night, it's super dark in Alvin, especially now, really, really early. And then even the lights that are there are really dim. They don't spread much light at all. If you leave here after the meeting and you have to walk over there, you might as well run to where the light is. So we definitely need it. I don't know that 31,000 is fair or not. I don't know how many lights that could buy, and I don't know what the alternative would be if we didn't do this, right? Could we guess good enough to where to put lights?
Well, I think it would be appropriate if it comes back as other areas that I see in other towns that have different type of lighting schemes, because you can only do so much with overhead lighting, but you've also got sidewalk lighting, up lighting, different styles. Where you talked about the solar versus having in certain areas versus having permanent hardwired lighting and stuff. So I think if it's comprehensive and then we make a good decision, if it does, and I hope with this we do get a very good comprehensive that basically takes over the whole thing, and we make a really good decision as to, hey, let's just take care of the whole thing instead of just coming back with just little hodgepodges of little projects. I'd like to see just an overall, this is what our 5,000 foot, this is what it's going to cost for this whole entire area, instead of breaking it up. Because what I don't want to happen is when, like, we're working on the sidewalk project and I feel like that never got finished, or it's just a project that's not going to get finished. I know that we're working on it. It's a slow process, but I don't want this project, I personally don't want this project to be like that.
I don't want it to end up like the wayfinding. We spent, what, $130,000 to find out the signs were too dang big to see?
Yeah.
I mean, that was ridiculous on there. Don't we have, doesn't the city engineers and everybody know where the utility lines are and lot lines and those kind of things? So wouldn't they Why would we need to be told to have someone else tell us where they are?
Good question. I don't know what they know. I don't know if Michelle is here and can speak to that, but but
I mean, it's hurting me that spending $31,000 on somebody to tell me where I need a light when it's dark. So, I mean, that's what I'm wondering. Is there any way to cut down costs on what exactly they're doing on it? Do they need to tell us where all the utilities are for everything? Do we need to have them tell us where lot lines are on things? I mean, we should, I would think, know where those items are to be able to place things, but you know more than I do, so.
Yeah, I mean, being downtown, the older part of town, I mean, we typically will go back to, of course, we have the plats on the old part of town. We can, I mean, really a surveyor would locate pins and everything. We have the ability to be able to locate pins. A lot of time they've been knocked out. It's more of a kind of time and manpower to go and do all that when kind of a little taxed on the new projects and getting everything else that on our side done. I haven't talked to Dan about this project. It could be that maybe the scope of it is something that we can incorporate, and it's not as, I don't know. I mean, if you want to, I don't want to get in your part of this, but I mean, I don't know enough about what they're planning to do to say, yes, yes, we're capable of doing it in a timely manner and getting everything done.
I think the question would be, if we did it in-house, time and money, what's that number? And maybe this number doesn't seem so bad, right? Because they can expedite it, that's all they're doing, and we'd have to fit it in between everything else we're doing.
So, in my understanding, correct, or were you about to say something?
Yes, I also want to comment, I don't know if this is actual, them actually doing the electrical engineering of the project too, because that we do not have the capability to do. I don't know anything about electricity and circuitry and all of that, so I don't know how that plays out.
yeah, there's no engine.
Okay. What?
I met a guy at a gas station.
Yeah. I'll finish it this weekend. I'll have it to you the weekend.
That was my only concern, Dan. I mean, I see the numbers getting chunked at things when we're not necessarily, hey, this is what it's going to cost to do this on it, and then we end up spending a whole ton more in years down the road before we ever get anything done. So that's kind of what I would like to, like Hiko said, I'd like to see what it is that it would cost us, where we would be involved with it citywide wise, and then see what we can sub out, and if it's much easier that way, then all for it. But
I thought was kind of weird was that you look into the scope of services on task 2 data collection. It says the consultant will prepare for and perform up to 1 daytime field visit. But you're not going to see how dark it is in the daytime. So I got a question what they're doing here, Dan. And I mean, are they going to be able to gather all this data in 1 visit? Just maybe it's not that big, but I why are they coming out in the daytime?
It's an additional service, I have them come in nighttime.
Under
additional services.
Is it also a la carte?
Yeah, they'll be
Pay
billed.
extra or what?
Yeah. You have to pay extra for that, to see the lights work.
maybe they can give us a better breakdown on what they're going to be doing. Come in and maybe explain it, something like that. Come and do like a workshop. I don't know. We do workshops all the time. Might as well have them come in too. So,
Yeah, I think all the stuff that you guys are having concerns about are all a la carte additional services that are going to cost more than $31,000.
And I guess if we knew like who we would buy lights from, maybe they would do,
yeah.
A discounted or free assessment if we use them, but obviously then we'd be obligated to use them. So I don't know if we want to do that or not.
Not that I'm aware of, just sport field lighting.
Athletic fields.
Yes, sir. And the idea was to continue with the same style that we have with the fluted and the gooseneck.
Would we be installing the lighting, or would the company that made the lighting system or whatever it is be installing it?
No, the contractor would be installing it. So this would give us an opinion of probable costs and give us we'll say the feasibility of placement and all of those things. And then we would that may parlay into a discussion of bid prep and bid packet and construction management. That may parlay into something like that. We've done that with this company before. So basically, we're asking them, can we do it? And what does it look like? And what would we need to budget? And then have discussions about, okay, we want your bid assistance, we want you to manage the project, and we want it this way. And then,
Is there a possibility? Never mind.
okay.
I just answered my own question.
So, Councilman Vaughn, you're asking to get some more detail on the bid?
Yeah, I'd like to do a workshop on it, something
Okay.
like that. At least have them come in, and maybe we can throw things at them to answer questions on. Because like if
Cost money for them to come do that. I'm serious. Are we okay with that?
no, find somebody else.
Okay.
I mean, do we need to bid? Did anybody else bid this?
No, this is professional services.
So we don't do bids on those?
If they're under 50 of it.
Maybe we should bid it, see who else there is. If they're gonna charge us to come do something like that, I mean, that's just my thought process on it.
Charges to come to the workshop.
Yeah, which I doubt they will, but
Yeah, I doubt
They've
it.
never,
I
Company
doubt it.
Horse never charges before for a workshop, have they?
No.
Either way, I'd like to do it quickly. I'd like to
Yeah.
get this going, like you said, not have it linger
Yeah.
and get some lights downtown, for sure.
how about we workshop before the next meeting?
Okay.
I'm talking to him, not you.
Dan, real quick, did we
Yes, sir.
have feasibility or scope on the lighting in that parking lot?
We didn't do a feasibility. We hired a electrical engineer to do the design, and so we knew where it was relatively easy. It was right there, and so he just did the design. He looked at the electrical that we had, and then he scoped it for what we're able to for that load, and he did the pole placement and everything for the design. We just bid it out and built it.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry.
No, great questions.
Table this, well, no, we just won't take it, yeah, I was gonna say we table it, okay. All right, thank you, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Excuse me, having trouble here. Okay, item B, consider ordinance 25B amending chapter 21 subdivisions and property development of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas for the purpose of adding Article 8 accessory dwelling units, providing for penalties, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto. Hello, Michelle.
Thank you. As you may recall, we did have a workshop on October 17th, and we kind of discussed a little bit about ADUs, accessory dwelling units, on existing residential properties. At that time, we did, I believe, in your packets, you had received City of Manville's ordinance, kind of looked at that, and you asked staff to go back and draft an ordinance related to ADUs. So what we've done is basically we took Manville's ordinance as a starting place. They have zoning, so we did away with zoning language. And then I added it to Chapter 21 as Article 8, its own standalone article. Pick that location because Chapter 21 subdivision ordinance is where it prohibits you from having two separate single-family dwellings on one parcel of land or one lot. So I thought it'd be appropriate to add it to that ordinance as a separate article. So basically took the ordinance that we had as a go-by, tweaked it where if we had definitions already in the subdivision ordinance, I didn't repeat the definitions in both sections. Took the definitions specific to ADUs and included them as Article 8, as well as the requirements. Some of the requirements that you would only be able to have one accessory dwelling unit per residential lot. There's a maximum size of 650 square feet for any accessory dwelling unit, or it could be 20% of the square footage of the first floor of the primary dwelling. Also has a maximum percent coverage of the backyard. So the backyard, the area behind the primary residence, you couldn't cover up more than 50% of that area of the lot. with an ADU. And then it has standards, say if you take and you want to do a garage apartment, if you want to do a second floor garage apartment, then it could be as big as the footprint of the garage itself. And it has definitions of garage and everything. And also states that setbacks would have to comply with our current setbacks for the lot. Utility connections, it couldn't have separate water, sewer, storm connections, or separate meters. It has to go through the primary services for the primary residence. And then it's also limited that it has to be family members that are residing in these accessory dwelling units by blood or marriage. So it's basically siblings, children, stepchildren, grandparents, and then spouses, grandparents, stepchildren, siblings. That relationship has to be there. And then no rent or indirect rent for those structures. And the address has to also be the same as the primary residence. So. Are there any questions?
If there happens to be a property owner that has an already existing ADU, are those just gonna be considered grandfathered? Even if they're not being used by definition of ADU, but they're actually, or even if they're like a rental property that they're using?
I think we would have to grandfather them in, being that this kind of applies to anything new. I don't know, that would be more of a legal question.
Yeah, I figured, I didn't know if that needed to be incorporated into the, do you have to define grandfathering in your ordinance when you create things like this?
We did for the mobile manufactured home thing.
Yeah,
Maybe see.
maybe we can look at language, adding that.
That's a good idea.
Would it change then if they rented it to somebody else? So, I mean, technically, it's not the same person renting it anymore. It's a new lease contract and everything they would have.
What do you mean?
I mean, would they just be able to continue leasing it to anyone indefinitely?
Oh, or you mean if
Or would they have to switch to the new ordinance?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's how do you manage that?
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, it's gonna be hard to police the rental aspect, even the family aspect. I see this going as somebody comes to permitting and they say, hey, I wanna build this little dwelling unit for grandma, and we get them to follow the rules. They build the structure, they know everything, we give them a copy of the ordinance, but then after that point, unless we have an issue out there, one of probably the most common issues would be a bunch of cars parking all over the street, or the neighbors, the neighbors complain or whatever, then we go out there and then maybe we could enforce from that aspect. That this ordinance would allow us to ask the questions and say, hey, who's living here, are they related, and from that aspect. So,
Michelle?
yes, sir.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
You said something earlier, at least what I thought I heard, about single family. Are you saying that only one person is allowed to live in that ADU? Or one?
It just stipulates that they have to be family members of the owner of the primary residence.
Okay.
It doesn't stipulate one.
Do we have, okay, so it could be like their mom and dad. Okay. And do we currently have an ordinance that prevents a homeowner from renting out their room, an extra room they have?
I think there's a state law, but we can't enforce that.
Okay. So in my mind, I see those kind of, they're parallel with each other, where it's almost like it's an extension of their property. And so I have a hard time not allowing someone to be able to rent out their own room, like just like now, where we shouldn't and we don't tell people they can't rent out their own room, an extra room. I have a hard time digesting the fact that we're saying, well, you have this ADU, that you cannot rent this out on your own property. And that willing to debate that, but that's my issue with this ordinance, is that we don't allow people to rent that out, just like we would allow them to rent out their home in their house.
I don't think that's and correct me if I'm wrong, that's not what this is. This is actually having a secondary accessory building on a single lot. That's what's in play. And whether they choose to rent it out or not rent it out, that's not what.
No, we're saying we're saying they can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't rent it out.
Well, then yeah, that's
Again, we go back to how do you enforce that?
Right.
Not
Right.
until you have a complaint about it.
because we don't enforce Airbnbs. We don't
Well,
enforce.
exactly, but it's still like, yeah, it's still against the rules. Like, I think it shouldn't be against the rules. Like, if they want to rent it out, I believe that they should. It's their property.
I agree. But like, if you have small lots and you own 3 houses in a row, and you live in this one and you rent the other 2, just because they're in a separate lot, it doesn't make it better or worse. Still your property, in both cases.
Suzanne, I'm just disappointed you couldn't
Foresee all this coming?
incorporate the term granny pod in here.
Oh,
I asked you.
I did. I had it. I did have
asked
it in
you to
there.
use granny pod.
Yeah, Granny Pod, AKA Granny Pod. Sorry to let you down there, Mayor.
I'm used to it. No, I'm just kidding. No. Well, those are good points, gentlemen. So how does the rest of council feel about that?
I would approve this ordinance
As is.
as is. I read all of it, and, I mean, it's really restrictive. It, strictly to family members. Any guests that are there are only allowed 6 days residency, no kitchen, et cetera, et cetera. After reading all of that, I'd go with it.
I thought it said a kitchenette was available.
Yeah, you
Kitchenette,
can have a
okay.
kitchenette.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think that goes to your point. If I'm not speaking, it kind of what these guys are. No, nothing against it. It kind of goes against the intent of the ordinance. The intent of the ordinance was to allow your independent older family to be able to come live with you. The intent's not to create rental property or not create rental property. The intent is to allow your aged family member to come reside on your property without having to put them in a home or pay rent somewhere else. I think that's why that's in here. Right?
Correct.
I like the no rent because if my kids put me in theirs, they would charge me rent. So I like the no rent. Okay. Rocky wouldn't. Rocky wouldn't.
Oh,
but
Rocky
the rest of
might.
them
You'll
wouldn't.
see.
He
You'll
wouldn't.
see.
The other 5 would though.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be too hard to police. I think it's restrictive too much, because like, what if a person's out of a house, they're getting construction done, it's a 6-day thing, and we're going to police that? I just feel like it's way too much in the weeds. If you're going to go to the expense of building additional property on your property, it's probably not going to be, you're going to have to build to code. It's not going to be cheap. It's 600 square feet, which means it's going to be way more per square foot than a 2,000 square foot home would cost. And you're not going to rent it out for nothing. If you do rent it out, it would be a higher end renter normally. I mean, that would be expensive to build. So I don't think it solves that problem, because even if people do that, we can't manage it. We can just selectively enforce it when we're told.
There's great taking problems.
Yeah.
Give Chief Lee bigger headaches.
Well, what'd you say, Richard?
Gives Chief Lee bigger headaches.
Yeah. Well, if we can certainly entertain a motion as written and see where the chips fall, and if it doesn't, then we can look at changing it to appease the mass. So,
Would there be any opposition to just workshopping it a little bit more? I guess more of this, like the rental versus no rental, or just vote as is.
I say we vote. If it doesn't pass, give staff direction on why you didn't pass it, so they know where they need to make the corrections.
Okay.
I'm waiting on one of you guys.
All right, move to approve ordinance 25-B, amending chapter 21 subdivisions and property development of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of adding Article 6, 7, 8, accessory dwelling units, providing for the penalties, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Who's the second? Martin, okay. Please vote.
Tiebreaker required, Mayor.
Okay, well then, man, that's tough, guys. Maybe we do need a workshop this. Megan, wasn't prepared for this, guys. Well, I'm gonna vote as is.
Motion passes with Councilmember Garave, Moore, and Castro voting no.
Thank you. Next item, consider ordinance 25D, designated the intersection of West Park Drive, Abington Road, and the driveway of temporary Walt Disney Elementary School as a four-way stop intersection to be controlled by appropriate signage, providing for a penalty and publication, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Thank you, Mayor. Back on December 30th, the day after the tornadoes came through and damaged Disney Elementary on Mustang Road, school district reached out to a staff member of mine and asked about them. They have plans to move the students from Disney and staff over to former Alvin Elementary at 1910 Rosharon Road. And they asked about the possibility of adding a student pickup drop-off driveway to that property that would connect with the intersection of West Park and Abingdon to help facilitate drop-off. At this time, Abingdon was where the stop sign, it was a T intersection, so they're basically creating a four-way intersection or a four-leg intersection, and they asked about the possibility of making it a four-way stop. So their new driveway comes in, Abingdon's across from it, and then both legs of West Park. So I did a temporary approval of that, and temporary stop signs were placed at the intersection in order to facilitate a safe start to school on January the 7th. Coming to council with it, if you were to grant approval for it to be permanent, then the street department will go out and put permanent signage. From what I've heard from our staff, who has been talking with AISD police, that the intersection is working well, that school drop-off and pickup's going smoothly. I think they're able to clear all the surrounding streets in a 30-minute period, both drop-off and pickup, which is pretty good for traffic around a school. So with that, I ask for your approval.
We're 2 houses down from that school.
Yes, sir.
And for years, even when it was Alvin Elementary, that was still a problem at that location, the way that they had the in and outs to drop off kids. It's a problem, yes, throughout the year, in the mornings and in the evenings. And then when they moved everybody over, because everybody was coming from Mustang Road over here, the people drove their children over too. Long ago, that Rosharon Road should have been addressed, because when people picking up their kids, it's a madhouse. And you've got cars bumper to bumper all the way down Rosharon Road, and they go up and then they curve around and they go down West Park to those schools down there. Now, you're trying to come from town to 1462, and they're all there parked to pick up their kids. You have to drive in the other lane. And then, so you're in the other lane, now here comes cars, and they have to stop, and it's okay, hopefully you see I'm in progress, so I'll need to go, and it's a guessing game who's gonna go. That Rosharon Road should have been addressed first, to give a lane or some area large enough for cars to sit and wait to pick up their children. Now, you know, they were going in, making a horseshoe and coming right back out into the same traffic that was flowing. So yes, this will help to some degree.
Okay.
But that Rosharon Road is a mess, and especially in inclement weather, they're parked everywhere to pick up their kids that would normally walk and then you have the others to be picked up and transported. That, so someone needs to look at Rocheron Road more than they need to look at this stop sign. That's an ongoing problem. And like I say, if police officers was out there, the school district's out there sometimes. But if one of our city units is seeing me coming down the oncoming lane, and if I sit in line, I mean, I'm gonna be riding a line to nothing to get to my house. So that is a problem. And I'm just surprised we haven't had accidents out there. Because some of those people, they don't move. They're like, this is my line, I'm in the line, I'm picking up my kids. You know, some of them mama grizzly bears protecting their cubs. So I would want someone to look at that Rocheron Road, how it is. I mean, this is good, and it'll be helpful to move, but all they're gonna do is come right back up to Rocheron Road, where all the other cars are lined up to go down to the other street on West Park. So, anyway.
Well, originally, Alvin ISD put out a schematic to where it only allowed one-way traffic exiting. And if you go back to Rocheron Road, you have to go to 1462. It was enforced one day. Rocky goes to Walt Disney, so I drop him off and I pick him up. It was enforced one day, and after that, by the time I got to the front of the line, there was no traffic. But I'm not trying to say you're not right, but Alvin ISD has had multiple units at that school since day one. Yeah, right now, they have them on all sides.
But I can tell you for years, they've not been out there.
Oh, I believe that, but for right now, they've had at least 3 to 4 units out there on all sides. But is it worth an investment to add an extra lane on Rocheron Road or something for a year and a half? Because they're only gonna be there for a year and a half.
Well, hold on, what I was gonna say is Harvey Junior High, when it was torn down and remodeled, because I called the city manager every day for 3 years, even though his daughter also was there. But I was like, hey, I want to let you know that a vehicle's playing chicken with a bus, and that was an everyday occurrence. So this school predominantly has become, this is where the overflow where it actually goes to. So my question was going to be, did this actually get improved since January 7th and take traffic off of that Rocheron Road? And are they using the front of the school as opposed to that bus drive that's on Rocheron Road? It does get really bad. And yes, I do agree. The AISD PD goes out there as well as our police department goes out there at the beginning of the school. But then once things start getting busy, they start getting calls. They can't sit there and they can't man those driveways and those roads and stuff. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the school district if they're going to continue to use that school as a, hey, let's put the kids there while we remodel all these existing other schools. Harvey was a very unique situation. We were only supposed to be there for a year and a half, but because COVID hit, we ended up being there 3 years, I believe, at that school. Potentially, we could have a economic issue, or God forbid we don't have any disasters or that economic issue to where Walt Disney and Stevenson are stuck at that school for many years. I think it does need to be. We need to keep an eye on that. Like Councilman Starkey is saying, is if this gets extended out a little bit further, is address those concerns on those roads and those growing pains, because we got more kids and more stuff going to that area. It's huge. I watched it. It's frustrating, and especially I had to do it for so many years, and I watched a lot of near misses, and I was in a patrol car, and these people didn't even care. I'm in a marked vehicle.
I saw it myself. When I had to come up Rocheron Road to pull over somebody in that little dirt.
Is there anything the
driveway
ISD could do to help alleviate some of that, since they're the ones creating the issue?
We can require it of them. I mean, if it's causing a traffic hazard, I mean, it might have been unfeasible in order to try to do it to get the kids back in school, but it's my understanding that the plan all along has been to move Disney over here, tear down the existing campus and rebuild, but that wasn't going to start until this summer. So it kind of tornado expedited that plan, so they had to hurry up and get in here and make accommodations to be prepared to take students back for the spring semester. But
This summer, when the kids are off and everything, see if we can work with ISD on getting some expansion done on the roads over there.
okay, yeah, we will make contact with the district and
Well,
see.
yeah,
Wider is would assist.
Right.
Something. But right now, we're voting on, can they have the stop sign?
Can we keep the stop sign?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But the other part about, for the shoulder on
Yes.
Rose Sharon, because like I say, they park in one lane,
Mm-hmm.
and there's only one other lane. So, all right.
I think they can utilize that lane between the two schools.
Yeah.
You have parents staged in there somehow. You don't have to blacktop it or something, but there's not anywhere to go in Roche Sharon unless we expand it. It should be costly.
Well, let's vote on the issue we have in hand, the stop signs. Entertain a motion.
Mayor, move to approve ordinance 25D designating the intersection of West Park Drive and, help me guys,
Abington.
Abingdon Road and the driveway of the temporary Walt Disney Elementary School at 1910 Rose Sharon Road as a four-way stop intersection to be controlled by appropriate signage, providing for a penalty and publication and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Consider if any requests from individual council members for any item or items to be placed on the upcoming agenda for the next regularly scheduled meeting. Councilman Garvey?
No, sir.
Vela?
Nope, no, Mayor.
no, sir.
No, sir.
In the future, I'd like a discussion on city protocols for emergencies and natural disasters, so that whenever something like the recent tornado happens, we don't have a bunch of people going in a lot different directions, and we know this is going to be addressed. And this step, this. It has to be coordinated, or else you're just gonna have a Chicken Little affair with the skies falling. So, just asking for some discussions on that, so that we have an established one, or if we have one, pull it out, dust it off, and let's find out what it's supposed to be. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, very good. Let's see, reports from the city manager.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the online survey for feedback on the comprehensive plan is now available through February 28th and can be accessed on the homepage of the city's website. In addition to that, we are also hosting neighborhood outreach meetings to gain in-person feedback from residents related to the future comprehensive plan. The next one will be held on Tuesday, February 4th from 5 to 8 p.m. at 1820 Coffee and Joe's Barbecue Company. And then again on Thursday, February 6th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Alvin Skate and Party and Big Axe Bar and Grill. City offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Garbage collection will remain on its normal schedule. We know the freeze is coming up next week, and our emergency management officials are monitoring the potential impact. Follow the city's website or social media outlets for updated information, and make sure that you are registered to receive emergency notifications from the city. Lastly, yesterday was the first day to file to run for city council position in the May 2025 fifth election. And the opportunity to file extends through February 14th, 2025 at 5 p.m. More information can be found on the city's website or by calling the city secretary's office. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks, sir. Moving on next to, excuse me, items of community interest. Starting with you, Councilman Starkey.
Yes, sir. Remind everybody, the 3 Ps, pets, pipes, and people, for the wintry blast that's coming, Arctic. You know, when they throw that word in there, it's gonna be cold. Wrap the pipes, keep your kids warm, keep yourself warm, and make sure your vehicle's in good order so you don't get out somewhere, break down, and have to walk. And the other thing, I do want to express some condolences to the family of Deputy Jesse Vargas. It was a tragic affair that happened, and all jobs are difficult and have the degree of danger, but some have a little bit more than others. And going up against, for felony warrants, for a violent felony warrant offender is going in with a gun already cocked to your head. So I say that from experience after 7 years as a cop. So our condolences to the family, and we pray for them. Thank you.
Kind of echo what Councilman Starkey said. There's a lot of stuff that's happened since our last council meeting in our community, and it's awesome to see how resilient Alvinites can be and our neighbors in Brazoria County when, no matter our differences, just come together as one to make sure our community's back in order. So prayers go out to Deputy Vargas and his family, our law enforcement community, and those affected by the tornado. There's power in prayer for sure, and so just make sure we keep those in mind when we thank the Lord every night. So that's all I got.
Thank you. When the tornado came through, I was sick with the flu and bronchitis, and was down for the count and missed work. So I couldn't be involved as much as I would have liked to, but I definitely want to extend my thanks and gratitude to those that did step up. I was at a luncheon, Pearland Chamber luncheon today, and Superintendent Carol Nelson pulled me to the side and was just very, very, very appreciative of you, Mr. Rowland, and staff, and how the city stepped up to help the school district. She said you were one of the first ones to call her, if not the first. And so just kind of echoes what has been said over here, just the partnerships we have in the community, and just the resiliency of our communities has been nothing less than spectacular. And if you are in need, I know the SBA disaster assistance is setting up here in Alvin. You can go to sba.gov/disaster assistance, and you can go there and start the process online to get some low interest assistance from the SBA. But anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you.
You're here. Nothing further, Mayor.
Ditto.
You good?
He said the same.
I'm good.
Okay.
Sir, I know you're humble, so I just want to point out that I was grateful that yourself, Councilman Moore, Mr. Rowland, Jeff Berry, our state rep, Commissioner Cade, and a couple of community leaders, Mr. Black and Seth Candon as well. They won from after the tornado hit. We all pulled together and put our partnerships together and made things happen. A lot of the damage wasn't done in the city. It was done in the county. But when I showed up to Walt Disney about 30 minutes after the tornado hit, Corporal Clear, who was recognized earlier today, was the officer in charge for that shift. And the way he handled himself by having officers go assist the county, didn't know that it was going to hit our city, and made a decision to go ahead and make an all-out page to have officers come in from being off duty. And I think both captains were here as well. Yeah. Both? One showed up, one showed up a while later. Correct. And Lieutenant Gilcrease was here as well. To see the amount of officers who were off duty who showed up, it was amazing. On top of that, seeing our other city employees, our other first responders pulling together with mutual aids for the county, ESD, Pearland, Friendswood. I think Santa Fe sent some people out. It was, like you say, it was amazing. And unfortunately, for some reason, the tornado only decided to hit my district, but it's all good. That's it, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. With that being said, now we're going to adjourn into an executive session under Section 551.072 of the Local Government Code for deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. So at this time, 8:28 p.m., we are adjourned into executive session. 1, 2, 3. You got a quorum? What time is it? What time is it? Oh, 9:29. We're re-adjourned at 9:29 p.m. out of executive session with no action taken. Therefore, we are adjourned at 9:29 p.m.